How's it going, fans of the NPL? My name's Eric Crossnight, and I am one of your hosts for this week's weekly podcast, week 2, and I am joined by two very great guests. I have one member of the power ranking squad. I have Phalop with me.
Hello, everyone.
And I have 681 Shadow.
Hey, I'm here again.
Yeah, he was here last week. I wasn't here last week because stuff happens. And also, apologies for this being a bit late. But when you have people with like completely opposite time zones, it's really hard to get like stuff scheduled to record. And plus, the podcast was recorded once, but there was some audio issues, so we basically have to record it again, which is unfortunate. But better late than never, I guess. Better late than never. And we're just going to start this podcast with some pretty big and exciting news, if you want to see it that way. I'm pretty sure the majority of you guys know this already. But unfortunately, Joey, PokeMMD, the Bronze Beretics, and Gator and his Tokyo Tyranitars had to step down as coaches for the season of the NPL due to lack of time. And we just wish them good luck for like whatever they're going to be doing in the future. It sucks because it would be a good way for like us as a league to expand more and gain more fans, but it is what it is. And because we are the most competitive league on the internet, we brought in two very good replacements. We have Shadi, the coach of the Bayern Munich, and we have Blake, Moxie Infernape, coach of the Baltimore Braviaries, who was an analyst. He was here with us on the draft stream, and he was also here for the week 1 podcast, for the preseason podcast in this case. And they're going to be filling in for the two teams that dropped, which doesn't like lower the level of competition of this league at all, because they are arguably better league players than Joey and Gator, just because they have more experience, and they have proved themselves in this format. And plus, Blake filled in for Gator. It was for Joey. He filled in for Joey, and he ended up beating Togue. So that's pretty much just to demonstrate the skill of his, like, the quality. He's a really good player. So Phalop, do you have anything to add on this like swap of coaches?
No, I think you covered it pretty much. It will be pretty exciting to see these new coaches perform. Like for Blake, he took over the team of Gators, so not AIM, the team he covered for this week. That was due to the fact that they got to choose which team they liked more. Shadi liked the team of AIM more, Blake the one of Gators, so they got those respective teams. So I think that's pretty much everything about the new coaches. So we will see how they perform week 3.
Yeah, and they have pretty tough opponents on week 3. Like Shadi's going to play Gypsy, and then Togue is going to have the opportunity to get revenge on Blake, although not using the same team. But last game, like week 2, it came down to very narrow 1-0 down to the last turn. So let's see how Blake does it this time around. And because they just joined and they didn't draft the team, so they don't like the team is not how they like. They performed some transfers. We have four transfers in totals, but we'll just cover the teams that joined now. So Blake dropped Pyukumuku and Magnezone and picked up Slowking and Ditto. Not like Pyukumuku. It would be interesting to see what it could do in league format. But I understand Blake when he went up and dropped it, because it can be very passive sometimes. So that's also not like the best option, I guess. And then Shadi dropped Beware and Gligar and picked up Tyranitar and Fortress. So he got rid of one of his fighting types. I'm pretty sure he still has like 7 fighting types on his team. And he picked up Fortress, which is a steel type that I think the team lacked, and it's also a reliable spinner, I guess. So they're pretty good transfers. Definitely going to make the team more what they are used to using. So, do you want to add anything about these transfers?
No, I think it was those for Shadi at least. It was just he needed some resist to certain types. He didn't have a flying resist, no fairy resist, no dragon resist. So he got them with Tyranitar and Fortress. And for Blake, it was pretty much like, okay, Pyukumuka, I don't see it working. So he added Slowking, a more reliable water type. And for some reason, he also didn't like Magnezone. And he got Ditto. Ditto can be like a nice one to have on your team. So yeah, those are nice transactions. So I can then go immediately through the other two transactions that were made this week. Those were trades. The first one being the trade of Tyranitar and Buswell from the Detroit Butterfrees to the Brisbane the Brisbane Breloons, and they traded back Snorlax and Volcanion. So that's trade 1. And trade 2 is Mantine and Sylveon from the San Francisco Reggie Giants to the Phoenix Sunfloras, right? Yeah. And they traded back Suicune and Togekiss. So yeah, those are definitely some interesting trades. Like the last trade was pretty much like one bulky water type in Mantine for the bulky water Suicune, one fairy type in Sylveon for the fairy type Togekiss. It's more like which coach liked which one more. And the first one's a bit more interesting, I think. Tyranitar and Buswell for the Snorlax and Volcanion. I know Abe said like right from the start that he didn't really like Snorlax on his team and he wanted to get rid of it. So this was his chance. And I think for Anthony it was like he liked Volcanion on his team, and he thought, okay, Snorlax is a nice defensive pivot, and he will, I think in the next few weeks you will see some other transactions made by him to like cover up some more of his team.
Yeah, I'm especially interested and excited for the trades that Zaz is going to be performing in the upcoming weeks. See, all secrets aside, you guys are just going to have to wait. So Shadow, do you have anything to add on these transfers? We've been talking about them, pretty much covered it all, but I don't know if you want to add your 2 cents.
Well, I mean, I agree with the point on how they made transaction, probably because, at least for the new coaches, because I was AFK for a bit of that, but for the new coaches, they made transactions that better suit them. Like, for example, Poke may have liked his I'm forgetting which coach took over AIM again.
It was
Shadi.
Shadi, okay. So like, AIM may have wanted to use Beware, like Beware and Gligar, but Shadi probably was more comfortable with like Tyranitar and Fortress, or wanted to fill different roles in the team. And then going off the trades for the other trade with Dezo and Abe, and then with Merc and Riz, I feel like those are some very solid trades, and it's gonna be pretty cool to see how they work out in the coming weeks.
Yeah, they're just going to improve the teams so much more, and I'm excited to see what they could do going forward. So with all that covered, I think we could just head on to the weekly recap. So we're just gonna, like, in some matches we'll go more in depth, like the ones that were closer and that had points that we feel like we need to focus, then those will go like more in depth. But overall, we're just gonna recap them real quick, show you guys what happened and whatnot. So the first match we have is between the LA Noodle Kings and the Florida Gators, excuse me. And Danza brought Gigalith, Trapir, Excadrill, Melega, Alakazam, Zoroark, and Tapu Lele. And Seb brought Slowbro, Raikou, Mega Scizor, Gliscor, and Volcarona, and Tapu Fini. So right from like the start, you could see that Mega Scizor had the potential to like pretty much sweep with the set that Seb did bring. Spoilers, it was a agility set, but we will cover that like later on in sets of the week. If Seb could manage to get rid of Excadrill, then Mega Scizor had pretty much of a field day. So I think Seb played very, very well to get himself into that position. Also, like, he did set up once, but he saw that Excadrill was still there, so he kind of like backed down. It's like, okay, right now is not the best time to set up, so I am just going to switch out, try to play around this Excadrill. When I get it killed and out of the way, then I can sweep with Mega Scizor. So I think that Seb just, it wasn't like he didn't really have the control of the entire match, but I think he played well enough to get himself into that position where Mega Scizor could set up an agility and pretty much sweep from there.
Yeah, I think you covered most of the things quite well. Especially like it was really great of Seb to, and I also mentioned this in the power rankings too, that he with the Mega Scizor he set up once, but he saw, okay, I can sweep because there is still the sand drill plus the potential of Sucker Punch Zork in the back, that combination just kills my Mega Scissor, so I can sweep right now. So he kept it for later. The match started off a bit hexy on both sides. Like the first turn had a crit leaf storm from the Superior on the Tapu Fini. The Tapu Fini ended up being a Specs set with Blizzard, so it would have one-shotted the Superior back. Then the turn almost 1 or 2 turns after, the Mega Scissor goes for Ironet and Gigalith, fearing like the rocks. He didn't want rocks up, so he went for as much damage as possible. Went for the Ironet, got the flinch. In the end, Gigalith turned out to be Choice Band with Stone Edge, would have done like around 60% to it, so it would have been severely weakened. Now it was not, but those were like the first few turns of the match, so they didn't really decide the outcome.
Shadow, you have anything to add?
Not really. I think you both hit on all the major points. I really liked how I was watching this match while it was happening. I was really liking how he tried to, like as you guys talked about before, how he set up the first time with Mega Scissor and then he realized extra drill still there, I can't win from here, so he saved it for later on in the match and he was able to just get quite the victory.
Yeah, he got 5 kills with Mega Scissor. It was basically a sweep. And interesting, it was that Gypsy recommended this set to Seb, and then Seb recommended Zapdos for Gypsy. That's pretty cool. So the Agility Bros working together. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much what we got for this match, and I think we can move on to the San Antonio Swamperts and the Atlanta Braviaries. And Dallas picking up another win. No, this was his first win. Trev picking up another. Yeah, Trev picking up another loss though. That's pretty uncommon to see because Trev is obviously a very, very good player and he's 0-2 right now. But Dallas brought Magearna, Blastoise, Megazard X, Breloom, Decidueye, and Landorus Therian. And Trev brought Zygarde 50%, Reuniclus, Mimikyu, Celesteela, and Mega Diancie. And something that I want to like to note on this match was the Decidueye set from Dallas. That sub SD Baton Pass set with Spirit Shackle, so he could like trap something that was quote unquote setup fodder for the Decidueye, and then possibly Swords Dance up, substitute, and then Baton Pass out. So that would be a pretty cool idea. It almost worked too, so it definitely put Trev on his heels. So and then Trev possibly choked the game away. Like later in the game, if he made a couple of different series of plays, then he possibly could have picked up the win. So this is like the second week where we have seen Trev prep well, play well in the early game, and then get to the end game and like throw his win condition away or kind of like choke the game away, which is unfortunate. But we all know Trev, and we all know that he's perfectly capable of bouncing back, especially with the prep. His prep has been really, really nice. His playing just hasn't been on point like it usually is. But it happens, and I know that Trev can turn this around. I don't know if you guys want to add on anything.
Yeah, I could add a bit to elaborate what happened in the end. If you didn't really watch the match, it was basically the Decidueye was able to set up like with Swords Dance, and Trev didn't take into account that Celesteela could from like the range the Decidueye was at, kill it and outspeed it with an acrobatics, where a few turns back it could not kill. Could not two-shot it because there was an Intimidate drop. Now there was not an Intimidate drop. He forgot to account for this, so he went out in another mon. I believe it was Mega Diancie. The Decidueye took the hit for Mega Diancie, was able to Baton Pass out into the Scarf Breloom, and the Scarf Breloom helped him clean up because the Scarf plus 2 Force Palm was able to kill the remainder of the mons that Trev had, and that was able to win Dallas the game. So yeah, this was potentially a choke on Trev's part. I think other than that, you covered everything pretty much. I have to give a shout out to Dallas because he played also when he was quite sick, so it was really nice to see him just not extending the match, but he really wanted to play. He knew what he had to do for the win, and yeah, he took it, and it was a really nice win for him.
Yeah, props to him. Shadow, I know like we talk a lot, but yo, feel free to just to jump in whenever you want. You want to add something on that match?
Not really, except for the fact that I do agree with what you said about Trev Trev, despite him going on 0-2 right now, he's definitely a very competent player. He's a very good player. I'm sure he can bounce back eventually. Like, kind of personal story, I faced Trev in League format 4 times within a month, and he beat me all 4 times.
Well, Trev is like, yeah, that just shows that Trev is a really, like, his prep has been good. He just hasn't been playing the end game like he should. But it's unfortunate, but it happens. So I guess we can move on to another game. We have the Tokyo Tyranitars against the Vancouver Stealth Rocks. And Gator did play this match. He did it before he dropped out. And he got a big win against Carney. Gator brought Mega Pinsir, Latios, Magnezone, Alolan Persian, Salamence, and Pyukumuku. And then Carney brought Nihilego, Mega Aggron, Hydreigon, Starmie, Tapu Bulu, and Conkeldurr. And this match was hard to watch because if Carney week 1 against Jolt, Carney didn't play that bad. Like, Jolt just had the upper hand the entire match. He had the team to beat him. So, like, that week 1 match, I feel like Carney didn't play that bad. But in this week, he did kind of play somewhat bad. And then, of course, he got somewhat unlucky. So I guess that didn't help either. 5-0, a pretty big loss. Not something that you like to see. But Gator did have a really, really strong team. Mega Pinsir could really put in the finest of work. And like I said, Carney didn't really play to the best of his ability. Like, we've seen Carney play. He last season he lost to Gypsy. Like, it was only a 1-0 and he was like undefeated. We all know that Carney is capable of doing way better than he did in this match, especially in this match. So I just hope to see my Hobo. I just hope to see him bounce back and possibly pick up a win next week, because I don't want to see him 0-2. I don't like seeing him 0-2, man. He's a good battler, and we know that he can do better than this. If you guys want to elaborate on the match as well, I'll let you guys talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, if Shadow wants to go first for a time.
For this match, I don't really have too much of a memory for this match, but I do remember that both sides, Gator played really well in this match, and based on what I've seen from Carney, I haven't seen too much of Carney, but like you guys were saying, it's really unfortunate to see him lose such a 5-0, because he's a very good battler. Like, he only got 1-0 against Gypsy last season, and I just feel like Gator was able to play really well and get a very decisive victory in this match. That's really all I have to add on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I can add a bit more. Like, for Gator, it was like the first few turns were really nice for him, because he brought a Magnezone set that's, I think, like now it's getting a bit more common, but it's like Air Balloon plus Magnetize, so it was able to trap the Mega Aggron, who normally has EQ for it, and then it was able to kill off the Mega Aggron, but due to it getting a crit, the Starmie would later come in to try to revenge this Mega Aggron to kill off the Magnezone. Couldn't kill it with an Hydro Pump now. If the crit didn't happen, Mega Aggron could have gotten 1 Avalanche more off Starmie, then the Magnezone would have been in range. So now Carney lost both his Starmie and his Mega Aggron to this Magnezone, which was quite unfortunate. And then a bit later on in the match, Carney tries to bluff the Scarf Nihilacho against the Mega Pinsir, but Gator doesn't fall for it. He goes just for an EQ, kills it off. Then Tapu Bulu comes in. It looks like game over. Tapu Bulu reveals the Cobra Berry, but unfortunately misses the Rock Slide. Yeah, Mega Pinsir lives and just goes through the rest of the team almost. And then Carney picks up 1 more kill before Salamence finishes it off. So yeah, it was a bit unfortunate.
That Stone Edge miss made me really, really sad, because I was actually excited. Like, at that point the game was like over pretty much, because like you said, Starmie and Mega Aggron was his answers to Mega Pinsir, and they were both down. So at that point there wasn't really much Carney could do. But that Stone Edge miss was definitely unfortunate, and it was like I said, he didn't play well, and Hacks just was against him. So it's one of those days where you can really do nothing. But I want to see my Hobo bounce back, and I believe in him. So let's move on to the next game. We have the Sydney Sharpedos against the Jersey Dwebbles. Another 5-0 win, a pretty fat win.
Yeah.
Gypsy brought Dragonite, Zapdos, Dugtrio, Empoleon, Infernape, and Mega Gardevoir. And Cloud brought Celebi, Mega Beedrill, Frostlass, Flygon, Manectric, and Skarmory. And this was just another agility sweep with the Zapdos. Seb recommended the set to Gypsy, and Gypsy recommended it to Seb. So they kind of worked together, and they blew their opponents back, which is totally unfair. We should block those two. No, just kidding. But yeah, Zapdos did really have a good matchup, and Gypsy did well to explore that. Like he did basically the same thing as Seb. He brought himself into the position where he could set up an agility and pretty much sweep. Shout outs to Cloud for bringing that Celebi. That was like Mega Gardevoir was at +1, and that Celebi took like 40% from Hyper Voice.
Yeah,
that was a pretty
crazy.
bulky Celebi. Yeah, that was a pretty bulky Celebi. And also Mega Beedrill actually did have a pretty good matchup against Gypsy, but he played very, very well around it. And the only kill that Cloud managed to get was that with the Frostlass, he killed the Mega Gardevoir, which, in all fairness, like, it wouldn't really do much in that match once it was Mega, because before it was Mega, it could trace the Manectric Lightning Rod and get that +1 like he did. But after that, the Mega Gardevoir didn't really do that much. And then Gypsy just did what he had to do to put himself in a position where he could just sweep with the +2 Zapdos, and he did. So again, it looks like we have the. I mean, Gypsy didn't play bad against Toge. Toge just played very, very well. But we have Gypsy back to those dominant wins that he got us used to last season.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much everything about this match you covered. A bit like for the prep wise, if I looked at the matchup and I looked at Cloud's team, I really expected like a Florges Arcanine core to come, because those two defensively have nice synergy, work quite well against Gypsy, especially Florges. Gypsy doesn't have really that much to hit it really hard. So yeah, I thought those two would definitely come, but yeah, they didn't. But yeah, that was a call from Cloud. He had his reasons, obviously. But yeah, other than that, you covered it pretty much. Gypsy knew from the start, he knew Zapdos could sweep. He just needed rocks up, needed enough chip damage. He got it, and he went for it, and he got the game.
Very well played. Shadow?
So for this match, yeah, definitely I agree that Gypsy knew what he had to do. Knew that he needed to get up rocks and get an agility up with Zapdos at the right time to be able to sweep the team. And I also agree with you on I really like the Celebi that Cloud brought. That was a really bulky Celebi, and it worked decently well for him. And that's really all I have to add on that one.
I just want to know that Gypsy actually brought a Scarf Trio so he could trap that Mega Beedrill, because he acknowledged that Mega Beedrill was a threat to his team, and that Scarf Trio was a pretty interesting bring on, in my opinion. So it didn't really do anything, but it's still nonetheless a pretty nice bring. So we can move on to like the worst match in the history of the NPL, the most cancer match. If you watch this live, then I actually feel for you, because it must have been like so painful.
Yeah, I was
so
there
painful.
live. Like, I had a league battle, and then I came back, and the battle was still there, and I was like, wait, what?
Did you die inside?
Yes.
Yeah, you pretty much did, because this battle was the longest in the NPL history. It took like what, 130 something turns?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
135, something like that.
Yeah, and the worst part is like stuff happened on turn 5, and then it didn't, like, stuff stopped happening, and then it only happened again like on turn like 110. It was pretty cancerous. But we have the San Francisco Giants against the Toronto Raptors. Merc picking up that 3-0 win against Jolt. And Merc brought Crocodile, Jirachi, Licky Licky, Torkoal, Megaladios, and Terrakion. And then Jolt brought Megalopony, Electros, Talonflame, Metagross, Doublade, and Latias. So beginning of the game was pretty much punch for punch. Crocodile went down, and then for another 100 turns, nothing went down, because Merc brought a core of Licky Licky and Jirachi, which were wish passing, and he used them very, very well, to be honest. Torkoal managed to stay alive for the entire match, and Torkoal put in the finest of work, benefiting from that wish passing from Jirachi and Licky Licky. And then it all came down, honestly, to a para on the Talonflame, And once Merc got the para on the Talonflame, it was pretty much game over from there, because then he could Megaladios could just clean up the game from there. And from team preview, you can see that Megaladios pretty much has the potential to like 2-hit KO everything on his opponent's team. He brought a special Megaladios with Dragon Dance, so he could outspeed stuff like Megalopony and Talonflame, and even a possible Scarflatias for the speed tie. But yeah, it was a pretty cancerous match. If you're gonna watch the replay, you just need to watch, like, if you're gonna watch, yeah, like the coaches, like especially Merc, because I watched Merc's side because it was up first. He cut out, like, he didn't cut out, but he sped up the part where nothing happened. So thank you, Merc, for not putting us through that sufferment, because that would have been pretty bad. But yeah, that's pretty much the match. It was very, very stally until the para on the Talonflame, and then after that, Merc just was in the driver's seat and it was his to lose. So he managed to wrap it up as a 3-0. So Merc beat Jolt, and they're both 1-1. So you guys can add on stuff if you have it. I don't know. I just talk way too much. You guys need to say shut up, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, we will go a bit faster through the next few matches, I think, because otherwise it will take a bit too long, this recording. But other than that, I think, yeah, you covered it pretty much the whole match. I think there was one crucial turn at the beginning, Jolt also mentioned in his match, where he could have gotten off enough damage on the Torkoal with his Metacross, with an Earthquake, to put it in like 10% range. And when it was at 10%, it could be easily revenged by anything else on his team, and it would never have been able to get Wish passed into, which now it could have. Now it was a few times in the match, and due to Torkoal being that crucial pivot for Merc, it really won him, yeah, mostly the game. So yeah, that's all for me for the match.
Shadow, I don't know if you want to add anything since you were there live and you experienced everything.
Yeah, I experienced it all. It was pretty painful going. Like, I watched, like, I think it was like the first like 15 turns. Then I had my league match, and I came back. We were at like turn 60, and then all the way from there. But,
I was like, oh, this is still going on. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna drop out right now.
you know, I was like, oh wait, this is going on. Oh wait, nothing else has died since I left.
How is that even possible? Yeah, that's the record. That's a record to be broken. I doubt it will be, because that was like 135 turns, which is insane. But like Phalop said, we should keep on moving faster, so this recording isn't like an hour and you guys don't have to sit through an hour of us just talking. Anyways, next up we have the Phoenix Sunfloras against the Brisbane Berlooms. Riz picking up his first win. Riz brought Scolipede, Mega Kangaskhan, Tornadus Incarnate, Magneton, Hoop Unbound, and Donphan, and A brought Leavanny, Sableye, Volcanion, Xurkitree, Nidoqueen, and Kartana. And finally, Mega Kangaskhan put in some work. Well, not finally, because it's only week 2, but still, it was pretty nice to see Mega Kangaskhan actually get kills, as opposed to like the set that Riz brought last week. And also something that I want to like focus is that Tornadus set. I really liked the Tornadus set that Riz brought. When he drafted it, I was actually a big fan of this pick, because I think that Tornadus has the potential to be like a very, very good mon in League format with Prankster and all the coverage it gets. So he brought a Scarf with Tailwind, and after that he could counteract the webs from Leavanny, and that was pretty much it. Like, it was a pretty like punch for punch match. It was balanced until he got like the core of until he killed like Sableye, and then Mega Kangaskhan just came in and pretty much swept. And also Riz hit like 3 hurricanes that I call hacks. But yeah, you guys want to add anything on this match? It wasn't really much to say, but feel free to add.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you covered this match quite well. It was like a pretty standard punch for punch. At the beginning, it looked to be, but then Riz showed having a Scarfed Tornadus, which helped him firstly kill off the Volcanion, who got Flame Charge boost, and then later on it also helped dealing with the Sableye. And when Sableye went down, it got off Tailwind, and because it was Scarfed with Tailwind, which was a nice bring for Riz. And then Mega Kangaskhan kind of won the game from there. So it was it was nice to see Riz also win like in week 2 already, because last season he had to wait a bit for his first win. So that's
we don't
nice
talk about that. We don't talk about that. Shadow, feel free to add to the wise words were previously said.
I mean, I don't really think there's anything else to really add. Like, as you said, a more straightforward match. There was it was like it was good to see Mega Kangaskhan actually do work, unlike in week 1, and overall Riz getting that early on win as opposed to season 5.
Yeah, where he went like 0-8.
He's like 0-8, and then I looked at the sheet and he won. I was like, oh wait, what?
But Riz has Mega Kangaskhan, so he can't go 0-8 again, because that would just be outrageous. Next up, we have probably match of the week in my opinion. We have the Arizona Caravanas against the Bronze Beretics. It wasn't Joey who played. Moxie and Fernay Blake played, a fellow analyst. Well, he's not an analyst anymore because he's a majors coach now. But Togue brought Gothitelle, Lucario, Clefable, Seismitoad, Thunderous T, and Mega Venusaur. And Blake brought Mega Medicham, Tornadus T, Drapion, Mamoswine, Manaphy, and Alolan Marowak. So like for the entirety of the match, it was like Togue was in the lead. Togue was commanding everything. He was playing well. He had the initiative. He had the offensive pressure. Thunderous put in a lot of work. Got 3 kills. And then like towards the end of the match, I think it was a misclick from Togue. But basically he was a 1v1, and instead of clicking Moonlight against the Manaphy, he clicked Moon Blast, so he pretty much sacked the Clefable for no reason, and then Manaphy was able to pick up the 2 final kills on Clefable and Mega Venusaur with a very, very interesting set that we will cover on Sets of the Week in a little bit. But basically it had the Psychium Z, and it managed to OHKO the Mega Venusaur. So yeah, it was a good match to watch, definitely. Togue had the lead, and then late he just kind of choked the game away, so that was unfortunate. But Phalop, Shadow, feel free to step in.
Yeah, it was definitely a great match to watch, and yeah, it really came down to the wire the last few turns. There was a really nice Manaphy set that also will be covered shortly in Sets of the Week that really shut down the Clefable set that Togue brought, which could have potentially be Set of the Week if the Manaphy hadn't come. And then yeah, towards the end there was like the Tornadus had a chance to kill the Lucario. It was Lucario versus Tornadus Darian, and the play of Togue was to Swords Dance and then went for the E-Speed damage he needed, because now he went for E-Speed, he took Life Orb Recall, and after that Life Orb Recall there was a decent chance, like 25% Togue said himself, for Tornadus to kill. Tornadus got that roll, it killed the Lucario. Well, if it had Swords Dance, it would have taken Acrobatics, and E-Speed next turn would have killed the Tornadus. So that was a bit of a slip up on his part. And then yeah, the last few turns, it could have been regarded as a slip up that he should have recovered on the Manaphy, because it couldn't really beat him 1v1. But it was also kind of like he was kind of sure that the Mega Venusaur could beat the Manaphy, so he was like, okay, I have this game. But he didn't account for the Z move. Then the Z move on Manaphy was revealed, and yeah, Mega Venusaur went clean down.
Very well played, very well prepped on Blake's part.
Yeah.
Shadow?
I mean, it was a very close match, and I really like how, I really like the Manaphy set, which we are going to cover later, in just a bit, but overall you guys basically got all the main points.
Alright, so we can go ahead and move on to the final match that we'll be covering for this week. We have the Detroit Butterfrees against the Chicago Bewares. Zazzle brought Mega Blastoise, Buzzwole, Stunfisk, Mew, Greninja, and Thunderous Eye. And Razor brought Tapu Koko, Garchomp, Scizor, Cresselia, Alakazam, and Crobot. Both players won week 1. Razor came off a pretty impressive win against Riz. And Zazzle, a very, very well played game against Merc as well. But Zazzle in this game didn't really give Razor much of a chance. Zazzle took the 4-0 win. And I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Zazzle is the #1 seed so far in this season, because he's just been playing like very, very safely. If you watch his team builders, you can see that there's always a reason for what he brings, and there's always a good reason. Razor played well in the match, but like I said, Zazzle didn't really give much of a chance for Razor to come back. Like, there was one play that stood out to me. Like, one thing is to think that he's going to make that play, and then the other thing is having the balls to make the play. So basically, Alakazam went for a Calm Mind, and then on the turn after, Zazzle switched in Greninja, and as Alakazam went for the Psychic, so he's immune and was basically able to like stop the Alakazam right there in his draft. So that was pretty much the most like the turn that stood out to me because he had the balls to make that play, and otherwise I could have put him into a unpleasant situation. But yeah, Zazzle had the control of the match pretty much all the way through, and it was a nice win, and now he's 2-0, so yeah, Zazzle is pretty much the top player in this league right now.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, few things. When you mentioned that Greninja play, which was a nice play by Anthony for sure, but this is also, and I think Anthony also explained this in his commentary, and I talk a lot with him, so it's really hard for players to know when do you make a play and when can you afford to make a play. Like the Greninja play, he could definitely afford it. Even if it got predicted, Greninja could have went clean down to like a Focus Press, which he packed. He could have had Energy Ball, was not likely, could have been, but he had a Scarf Thunderous in the back, so he always knew I could always revenge this Alakazam, so he could afford to switch in Greninja, which now got him a lot of momentum. So that's one thing to also know about Anthony. He really knows when to make a play. Then also what I really liked about this match, and I think everyone enjoys this in the MPL, Stunfisk putting in the finest of work, beating a Tapu Koko. Yeah. It beat Tapu Koko 1v1, even with Calm Mind. It got a Toxic off, Earth Power still doing 40%. Was really nice. And then that mini sweep with Buzzwole at the end, it got like Garchomp and Cresselia kill with like Bulk Up with Leech Life, which was really cool bring on his part. It was also like the first and final match on Buzzwole for his team.
And it definitely put in the work. Shadow, let's just wrap it up right now in terms of weekly recap.
Alright, so for this match specifically, I really liked that both sides had pretty good play. I especially liked Anthony's nicknames this week. I don't know if you guys saw them, but
he always has the best nicknames.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed watching the Stunfisk 1v1 Tapu Koko.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's pretty much proven right now that Stunfisk is the key to winning the NPL because they won it last season, and it's on a good way to win it this season. But that wraps it up for the weekly recap. And now we can move on into sets of the week. We'll just go over them like real quick because we're kind of running out of time, which is less than ideal. But I think we can just get right into them. So we mentioned these while we were doing the weekly recap. But basically we have the Zapdos and the Mega Scizor, the two Mons that got the agility sweep. I'm not going to go into too much detail into their EV spread because we don't have the time, and plus they're kind of like they are practically the same thing, but basically they had some HP investment, some speed, so they can make sure to outspeed the fastest threat on the opposing side, and then it went for the beneficial nature, for the most power, perfect coverage for each team, and it basically got the agility up on the right time and just ran through the opponent's team. So yeah, that's pretty much the Zapdos and the Mega Scizor set. We kind of told you guys what they did in their respective matches, but I don't know if you two have anything to add on this.
No, that was fine.
Yeah, we pretty much covered them all.
Yeah, you got everything.
Yeah, we covered them in the recap already.
Yeah,
so.
in the weekly recap. So next up we have my favorite set of the week. We have the Manaphy set. Of course, you guys know it was holding the Psychium Z. It had Surf, Psychic, Tail Glow, and Skill Swap. And Skill Swap was what really made this thing set of the week, because Clefable was starting to set up Calm Minds in front of Manaphy, thinking that it could beat it 1v1, because normally it could beat it 1v1. But Blake pulled out the Skill Swap, swapped the Unaware with the Hydration, and basically Clefable's Calm Minds were basically useless from there. And then the Psychium Z finishing off the Mega Venusaur was also a very, very good bring on Blake's part. This was my favorite set of the week. If you guys have anything to add on the set,
yeah, I think it was a really nice bring on his part, especially because Toke was really looking, okay, I have my Clefable, it has Unaware, it has Mono Moonblast, and I have Cosmic Power and Calm Mind to set up, and I can go for the sweep, and then there was Skill Swap, he didn't expect it, and it's just stopped his Clefable kind of sweep right there and then, which was really nice. Also, shout out to Anthony, because the first league I have been in, and that was with Anthony, we were in the finals together, and I had the Clefable, he had the Manaphy, and he also used skill swap, and I was also like blown back by that. So yeah, it was definitely great to see it come back here.
Shadow, if you want to give your opinion on this beautiful
The
set.
Manaphy set was really good. It really was able to just close out the game for Moxie. It was definitely really solid with the Psyche MZ. Like, when I was watching the match, I personally didn't see it coming, but then when it came out, it really worked to take out the Mega Venusaur and give Blake that clutch.
Yeah, it's a very situational set, but it worked out in this case, so props to Blake for bringing it. And then we have the last set that we will be showcasing this week. We have the Decidueye set from Dallas and his Swamperts. It was basically max defense, max HP. It had Spirit Shackle, SD, Baton Pass, and Substitute. I've actually seen the set used somewhat on the ladder. Basically, you Spirit Shackles, you trap something in, something that's set up fodder for you. You proceed to set up, and then you Baton Pass out. And especially on Dallas's team, he had a lot of decent receivers. He had the Charizard, he had the Scarf Breloom, and he had the Scarf Landorus. He had the Landorus, and it did come into play because he ended up getting a sweep with the late game with that Breloom being scarfed at +2, and then being able to outgo everything on the opposing side. So it was definitely a very, very interesting set from Dallas. I liked it very much.
Yeah, me too. This was for me like more the set of the week. Also because I like the Decidueye a lot as a mon itself. It's one of the new mons that is like, it stands out not the most, but you can do so much things with it. It can be defensive, offensive, and now you see it can even like be your Baton Pass user. So yeah, it's a really cool mon that was added on this generation.
It definitely has the utility options: U-turn, Roost, Defog, Baton Pass, Swords Dance. So it's definitely it's definitely a mod that has potential in League format. And if Shadow, if you want to give your opinion on this set, and then we can move over to the Burbets.
Yeah, the Decidueye set works pretty well. Like, I haven't really had too much experience with Decidueye, at least not yet. But based on what I've seen, like this battle and a lot of other battles, Decidueye, like as Phalop was saying, it can be used in so many different ways. It could be Baton Pass, it could be defensive. It just seems to have a lot of versatility.
Yeah, definitely, and stuff that can be used in League format. So that will close sets of the week, and now we'll be closing off the podcast with the Burbets and with our thoughts on next week's matches. So the top 3 on Burbets this at the end of week 2, we have Zazo in first place with $114. Then we have Katie in second place with $106, and then we have PokeRob in third place with $78. Zazo, I'm pretty sure Zazo took the lead, right? Because I think Katie was first last week, and I believe Zazo overtook her this week. So props to Zazo for getting all that dollary dues.
Yeah, I think Zazo just puts like all his money on one guy, and if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. And I think this week he put it all on Gypsy. Gypsy won, so that was nice for him. And I think Katie split it. I don't know, I think most likely because she is the sister of Toke, I think she put money on Toke and one other match. I don't recall which correctly, and she got one of the two right. So she had like a lot of money from week 1. So that's why she's still in second place. And as Rob goes, I have no idea what he betted on.
Shadow, are you a fan of these Burbets? Have you ever betted?
Yeah, I'm actually number 5 list.
Oh wow, you're in front of me.
Nice.
Why are you both in front of me? Phalop has $2 more than me, and Shadow is just all the way up there. God damn, you guys.
I made like the riskiest.
I blame it all on Trev.
I made the riskiest bet week 1 though. I bet Danza.
I blame it all on Trev because I bet on him week 1 and week 2, and he lost. So Trev, you're owing me a lot of money, so you better get me those dollary dues back. But we can just go over to the week 3 matches. And real quick, you guys, just tell me what is the most exciting match for you this week. I guess Shadow can start.
Let's see. So the most exciting match from in my opinion, this week, excuse me, is probably Gypsy versus Shoddy.
Yeah, I think we all have to agree on that one. That was going.
I think that's
be,
one match to look out for.
They never played. Gypsy's a god. Shoddy is bad, but he can be good sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be an interesting match to see. Hopefully it's going to be a close 1-0 nail biter till the end of the. And the other match that I think is going to be really, really cool to see is Arizona against the Baltimore, because Togue versus Blake again. I'm pretty sure Togue wants his revenge back. Blake beat Togue, but wasn't with this team, so let's see how he can do with this team. So those are pretty much the two matches, obviously with a big emphasis on Sydney against the Bayern Munich, because that's going to be a match that we're all waiting for, and I cannot wait to see the end result of that one. I'm really excited. So if you guys don't have anything else to add on this, I guess we can go ahead and wrap up this week's podcast.
Yeah, that sounds good. We've been rambling on for quite some time now, so yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment on any mistake we did, or just your opinion on anything. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, because we are a pretty cool group of peoples and we put out awesome content. Our links will also be down in the description, so feel free to check any one of us out. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So thank you guys so much for watching this week. I hope you tune in again for next week. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.